Okay, we're here with State Senator Eddie Lucio of Brownsville. We're doing a series of videos about his career in public office, but in this video we're going to talk about the future and the senator's plans once he retires, which will be coming up quite soon now because his term of office is almost over. We're going to talk about a ministry he plans to set up and the purpose of that ministry and what his plans are. So, Senator, your thoughts on the ministry at this stage?
Well, Steve, thank you. But it's important to know that over the last 20 years, we have worked real hard to raise money from whatever sources we can to help young people start their college education. Scholarships, we have done so, and it's not a big figure that we have been able to raise, but it's significant because it impacted many hundreds of young people here in the Valley. But we've spent over $1 million. We've collected and spent over $1 million trying to help people, start their college education and also finish it. But now I want to make a turn to something else that has been bothering me for many, many years. And I think it is something that all of us need to stop a little bit and think about. Something that has happened along the way in our education system that we need to pay a lot of attention to, and that is the young boys and girls or the teenagers that are dropping out of school in the ninth and 10th grade mostly, but all this starts earlier in middle school. We need to obviously identify who those students are and try to help children at risk of dropping out of school. To me, that is something that I think about, that it's a waste of human capital or just human lives. A lot of these poor kids become even poorer. They wind up in three different lines. The first line I can think of is the welfare line, because they go straight to welfare. And it's not a sin for that to happen, not at all. But you have to feel for them. The second line is the unemployment line, because they're not educated, they're not trained, they're not prepared to become part of the workforce as the workforce is looking for today. Young men and women who are really, quite frankly, finished high school and have some form of higher education, training of some kind that will get them into these jobs, and they can live a normal life, so to speak. But the third line that they wind up in is really the most one of the three lines that I'm most worried about, is what I'm trying to say. I'm extremely worried about them ending up in a criminal justice line where they have violated the law. For some reason, they choose to go the wrong path, and they end up in being a criminal. It's just sad to see these young boys and girls that could have had a chance, but they didn't have a mentor. I know of some cases where their mothers and fathers are both in drugs and both in jail. They're being taken care of by someone. They become foster children. Maybe they live with a grandpa, grandma, but it's just not the same. So we need to somehow address the needs of these children. We need to keep them in school. We need to have them walk across that platform and receive their diplomas, and hopefully they can have a chance in life. That's ultimately the thing I'd like to do until it's time for me to report upstairs, I hope.
So that's going to be part of your work with the new ministry, but yeah. I believe you're also going to help young girls that get pregnant.
Yes, I just this last week or two, because I'm very much pro-life, and everybody knows that. It's no big secret that how I voted in the legislature. I vote to protect and to respect the sanctity of life from conception to natural death. I was the author of the bill that established life without parole, so that no one would have to face the death penalty. We were able to give jurors another option. So yes, it's very important for us to work with these young women in many cases who don't know where to turn. They need to know that there's a hotline, that there's someone locally that they can turn to for advice. I will be having already, when I meet people, they want to volunteer. I'm just overwhelmed with the compassion out there that exists in our communities. Let's not make any mistake of it. We do have people who care, and that's going to be the name of my nonprofit. Hopefully, if I can change it to Texans Who Care, or Texas Neighbors Care. I want to make sure that we do everything we can to help these young ladies save the unborn child and to give them all the support they need, morally, financially, the medical services they need, and hope that the state, and I'm sure I can work with state leaders to make sure we get the funding that's necessary for this.
And so the fact that you're going to call it Texas or Texans, does that tell me that the ministry is going to be statewide in its impact rather than just South Texas?
It will start here, but I have great hopes of it moving on to other communities. We will have our mission, and I'm sure that there are people like you and I and other parts of the state that would like to do their part in addressing the needs of their young people in that particular, whether it's education or whether it's a pregnancy that they're facing that they need some support on.
Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to say about your ministry?
Well, when we start this, it also has other things involved. These people, these families, if they're hungry, we're gonna feed them. We intend to feed hungry families. If they're in need of clothes to stay in school or shoes or whatever it is that takes to help a young person, continue their education. We're going to try our best to raise the funds that are necessary to address those issues. It'll be a little broader than what it sounds like, but we'll write it where we're able to touch on other areas as well. So after a year or two functioning, I think we will be able to have a stronger picture on what it is what needs are out there that are needed, and we're going to go after it, hopefully with some wonderful volunteers, already retired teachers, retired nurses, retired business people who are good Christian persons, want to continue to do their part, even if it's in a small doses, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be full time, but I think it's important for us to bring everyone in that can become a mentor, that have the ability to maybe raise money or do other things that will bring a better quality of life to these the young people.
And this ministry will be starting in January?
Hopefully in January. That's our target date. I will be working a little bit for the next 2.5 years, maybe And then after that, I don't plan to work in the private sector anymore. I just plan to do the best I can, depending on my physical condition. I hope that I'm able to physically and mentally and emotionally be able to address these issues, because they're most important in the lives of many.
Thank you so much for today's interview.
Thank you.